said you were a man of few words.
Oh, I am. I'm only burning my half. This town, it deserves a better class of criminals. And I'm gonna give it to them.
Hey everybody, Brewmaster here. If this is your first time to the channel, then welcome. And to the over 5,000 appreciators of common sense and decency, hey, it's great to see you again. Now today I'm going to be coming at you fast with a series of unfortunate and seemingly unconnected events as the gaming industry continues to burn down around us. In board game land, industry titan Asmodee has already fired over 900 workers since last year. In video game land, Saints Row developer Volition has officially shuttered its doors, as have several other smaller gaming companies, and a much anticipated Deus Ex video game has been cancelled after 2 years of development. Only 60 days into 2024, and 8,100 people have already been laid off. In comic book land, Dark Horse Comics is officially sunsetting their digital comics app, and in financial land, Saudi Arabia has allowed a $2 billion deal with the video game industry to fall through. But what do any of these things actually have to do with one another? Well, they do share a common thread, and that commonality is Embracer Group. That's right, my good friend. This greedy dragon has been gorging itself, buying up dozens of gaming companies over the last decade, just absolutely devouring the game industry since 2017. And it's now one of the top 3 gaming companies in the entire world, only behind Ubisoft and Microsoft, employing over 15,000 individuals. They have the most diverse portfolio of any gaming company, catering to gamers in all spaces from video games to tabletops to miniatures to board games. But now Embracer Group is in deep and we're all being affected. Yeah, they've tried to keep some things on hush, but here's what they don't want you to know. Wes Davis with The Verge reports that Embracer Group was forced to halt its breakneck pace of acquisitions after a mysterious partner left a $2 billion deal intended to drive its continued gaming ambitions. Now we might know who that partner is. They say that that partner is Savvy Games Group, and that party backed out of the deal in May of last year. Savvy is owned by Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Wealth Public Investment Fund and is the vehicle through which Saudi Arabia funnels investments into the gaming industry. After that deal blew up, Embracer announced that it was restructuring and that it would shut down or sell studios and pause some game development, and boy, have they been. Hiram Cryer with Games Radar has already reported that Embracer Group quietly canceled 29 unannounced games and shut down 7 studios just within the last 6 months of last year. And unironically, Wesley Yin Poole with IGN on that very same day reported that Embracer Group warns of more layoffs despite already letting go of 1,400 people. Embracer Group has really become more like Eraser Group at this point. Now this is a bad look. All these cancellations and layoffs make the executives look incompetent. Wes sheds even more light though as to why they were so silent about their deal with Saudi Arabia. He goes on to say that Embracer CEO Lars Wingfors issued a statement in 2022 insisting that the company's Swedish values were unwavering after the company was criticized for accepting the Saudi group's investment given the Saudi government's repeated human rights violations. Embracer was quiet on the identity of its partner in the now abandoned deal because of course they were, and yeah, you heard that right. Saudi Arabia left Embracer Group standing at the altar of shame for over $2 billion. And now it's the people who fronted this whole shindig, you know, all those companies they bought up, all those thousands of employees, yeah, those are the ones who are now out in the cold. But the bride-to-be, Embracer, yeah, no, they're just as culpable. Because even back in 2022, people smelled shite surrounding this whole Savvy deal. In 2021, Embracer acquired beloved board game maker Asmodee, and in 2022, customers and employees both were already expressing suspicion surrounding the Saudi deal. Would companies under Embracer remain humane places to work with Saudi Arabia involved? But I guess the better question should have been, would there even be jobs with Saudi Arabia involved? But as Chase Carter with Dicebreaker reported at the time, the owner of board game behemoth Asmodee says not to worry about their $1 billion investment from Saudi Arabia. He goes on to report in his article that many tabletop players and studios owned by Asmodee will likely find the connection to Saudi Arabia problematic and unwanted. The country has a long and well-documented history of human rights violations that still exist today. And go ahead and read the rest of the paragraph and you can see the acts that they've committed. Now imagine what kind of headspace you gotta be in to put your financial faith in someone who bombs schools and hospitals. To think like, yes, That's the guy that I want to make a high stakes, possibly financially ruinous deal with. They obviously know how this looks, and that's why the CEO has intentionally under-publicized this deal with Saudi Arabia. So some might say that Embracer Group is getting everything that it deserves and more. But as usual, it's not the smiling executives paying the price for this greed, but the ground floor employees underneath them. Now, when asked about these layoffs, CEO Lars Wingfors gave us this little gem. Being quoted by Marie D'Alessandre, the literal deputy editor of GameIndustry.biz, is saying,
I think looking at the 8% reduction in workforce, there's obviously, I don't know the number for the whole industry, but I think it's something that everyone needs to get through. I mean, as I said, it's more driven by the overinvestment in the previous years because everyone just put all capital into gaming, and perhaps a bit too much capital in a few instances.
This response did not go over well with any fans, nor did this quote from Game Developer, where he was quoted just the day before saying, our overruling principle is always to maximize shareholder value in any given situation. And now the internet has begun to turn on Eraser Group, as have their own investors, and as layoffs start to reach even their profitable companies, such as Asmodee, employees have had enough. Now, Saber Interactive is trying to separate themselves altogether from Eraser Group, and I wouldn't be surprised if more companies begin to follow suit. Across all spheres of gaming in the gaming industry, there have already been 8,100 layoffs this year alone, totaling 16,000 when you include last year's layoffs. And as they have reported themselves, Eraser Group says that there is even more to come. And now, as grim as it is, that's the news. Now, for my opinion, if you've been feeling lately like the quality of your games has diminished, like your minis and your board games, your TTRPGs, your video games just ain't as good as they used to be, well, that's because they aren't. And the reason is clear. It's these large corporations like Eraser Group, like Hasbro, who have this committed investment in making money over conducting good business, failing to realize that it is literally conducting good business that will attract the customers, the customers that have the money that you want. Now, I don't know if there is a single company that's actually done more damage to the gaming industry than Eraser Group, but something is seriously broken in our system when thousands of people are having their livelihoods taken because 6 people made a mistake. And what really blows my mind is the fact that they're still at the company calling shots, like their decisions haven't already steered this ship into an iceberg. All of those companies, all those people, it's hard to imagine that if Eraser Group hadn't have bought them in this greedy mad dash to get as much capital as possible, that all of these small companies, all these employees would still have their jobs. They would still be just fine. But if we're being honest, Eraser Group isn't the only or the first company to display this stooge-like behavior, but the continuous financial irresponsibility that we've been seeing is now at such an enormous scale that it's just no longer harmful to the gaming industry or even to the individuals being laid off, but it's also just damaging to the greater economy as a whole, which we all participate in. Like, the ripples of these corporations' irresponsible behavior is going to be felt by all of us, whether or not we're even aware of these issues. So I'm no big fan of big government. Like, I don't agree with the government having their fingers involved with people's personal business, but maybe they should be getting involved with this. I don't know. Maybe there should be some legal protections in place for these workers or some sort of unionization. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I don't know the way forward. But what I do know is that something has got to change. But please hit that subscribe button for more gaming news and tabletop RPG nerd stuff, and do consider joining our other 5 patrons on Patreon. That really is the very, very best way to support the channel because I get no ad revenue. If you have been feeling like me, just on a personal note, let me know what you think down in the comments. Have you too been feeling like gaming in general, video games, board games, tabletop RPGs, like they don't bring you as much joy as they used to, or is it just me? Let me know. Otherwise, like this video if you do like it, dislike it if you don't. Peace.